Okay. So find yourself on your mat. So yoga mat, maybe a light rug, and let's get into position. The first thing we're going to do is just lie on your back, and just relax. So shavasana pose in yoga is death pose. It's just you lying down on your back and kind of just being still. So try to just relax your body and be as still as you can be still. Obviously, everything's moving around inside the body. Uh, and the first thing I'd like you to take notice of in death pose, corpse pose, is your breathing. So just notice, without controlling the breath, notice which part of the breath, notice where the body is where the breath is occupying the body when it comes in. Notice which parts of the body are expanding on the inhale, and notice which parts of the body are relaxing on the exhale. So just move into observation. Just move into observation. So if you're moving very fast, the breath is higher up in the chest. If you're very, very relaxed, it may occupy more of the belly when you inhale. So just notice. And here we're just checking in with ourselves and taking note of where we are, just doing a basic check-in. So also notice the back of your head. Where is that making contact with the ground? If the muscles in the back of the body are very tight, it'll be pulling your chin up, and it'll be more the top of the back of the head making contact with the ground. So just notice which part of the head is making contact with the ground. Where shoulders, feel which part of the shoulders are making contact with the ground. Okay, and then just follow your awareness down your arms all the way to your hands. Which part of the wrists are making contact with the ground and the hands. And um, just notice which parts are making contacts. The muscles are going to move the bones. So when we're here lying and observing, we're taking a snapshot of our muscular system as the cause of where the bones are making contact with the ground. So then the shoulder blades, how much of the shoulder blades are making contact with the ground? If the shoulders are very open, you should feel more of the shoulder blades on the ground relaxed, or is it stiff and tight and congested? If the shoulders are stiff and tight and congested, the hips and low back are also going to be congested, right? So it's connected. So then bring your awareness down into your low back and just feel what's there. Maybe there's no pain, maybe there's some discomfort. Uh, Sometimes it's painful to lie on the back, in which case these exercises aren't going to be so helpful. We have to do something else first. But if you can lie on your back, you're lying on your back. And notice which parts of the hip are making contact with the ground. So left side and right side. Is the left side hiking up a little bit towards the left shoulder? Is the left side tighter? And you're just lying here. You're not doing anything. The muscles should technically be totally relaxed. But if they're not, we can see that there's a habit pattern. We're over tight. We're too tight. And we need to balance out by doing more of these exercises and other stress reducing things. And then the right side of the hip and low back well, are the hips even, or is the right side maybe slightly pulling up towards the right shoulder? Are they even, or are they out of balance or compensating? Is there a compensation pattern perhaps in the back of the hips? And then bring your awareness down into the glutes and notice which part of the glutes are making contact with the ground. And then all the way down the legs. So bring your awareness down past the hip, the glute crest where the glutes hit the hamstrings, and then down to the knees, calves, shin bone, back of the bones. And then notice all the way down to the heels. Notice which part of the heel is making contact with the ground. It's a nice way to check in with your body. And also, this could be relaxing too. A nice way to just relax, not do, just observe. The act of observing by itself is itself relaxing. So that's good. Okay, good. So you have a picture there. Notice any other parts of the body that might be tensing, and ideally eyes are closed and you're focused, and your attention's on the inside of the body. And we're going to get the most amount of benefit when our focus is on the inside when we practice, because then we can really focus on feeling our muscular system, which is going to be critical to relieving pain and banishing and unwinding stiffness and soreness. So even if you're doing 5 minutes a day, having the eyes closed, making it an internal effort, kind of, I call it like a biomechanical movement meditation, is how I want to think of this time. All right. So let's go ahead with the first movement. We're just going to go right into the low back. And so bring the knees up and the palms of the feet on the mat, about 12 inches apart. The feet are about 12 inches apart, about hip width, maybe a little bit further. Doesn't really matter. Just be comfortable. And what I'd like you to do is on the inhale, I want you to slowly arc the low back. You could simultaneously press the base of the tailbone into the ground. And just as you do that, the muscles are going to tighten. And then when you can feel the muscles tightening, I want you to relax those muscles that you're tightening and just let the back fall back to neutral. So you're not pressing the back down, you're just contracting, arcing, and relaxing the muscles, and the back will fall as a consequence, as a byproduct of relaxing the muscles. So do that a few times, nice and slow, and make sure you're totally relaxed before you do a new movement, a new contraction, another contraction. So I call it a breath cycle. Take an inhale and an exhale after one movement. Then you're going to get the most out of the movement. You're getting benefit from just one movement. So make sure you receive the fruits of your labor after one pandiculation of these muscle groups. Okay, so we just do one or two more. In the morning, you could just do one and then a breath cycle, or maybe do a few, depending on how much time you have. Okay. So last one and then pause. So as you do this on a daily basis or regularly, you're getting in touch with what's there. So if the muscles are really sore and you contract and press that tailbone into the ground and arc the low back, feel the muscles tighten, the more you do this, the more you'll feel. And chunks of tension will turn into more, you'll be able to feel the actual musculature more and more and more. And that's where we want to move towards, is more and more connected to the subtlety of the body and less gross and more subtle. And that's going to mean as we move towards more subtle awareness of what's going on in our muscles and bones, that means that we're going to have more motor control, less hypertension, and more flexibility, less pain. So we want to move towards subtlety. Okay, good. So next thing we're going to do is the opposite side of the coin, the low front. When the low front is really contracted, we've got less bladder space, less space for the digestion. So we want to make sure that this is not hyper contracted. So let's go ahead and on the exhale this time, I want you to just slowly flatten that low back curve into the ground. So you're going to press that low back into the ground just gently until you can feel the muscles tightening in the stomach. So the pelvic floor is going to tilt up just a little bit. And then I want you to relax the muscles of the low front and then take a integration breath in and out, nice and relaxed. And you can do that a few times, go nice and slow. If the movement is choppy, slow it down and smooth it out. So we're cultivating motor control by you're connecting to your muscular system in this pattern, developing motor control, making sure you're making sure the muscles are not frozen stiff. You're tightening them, and then you're also relaxing them to make sure they're flexible. You're making sure your muscles are activated, which means that they can tighten at will and relax at will instead of just being stiff, unusable muscles. Okay, so just do a couple more. Enjoy the movements are small. They're not big, grandiose movements. So enjoy the smallness, sink in, surrender to the smallness of the movements. They're functional, they're basic. So they're small movements. We're connected to our small movements, small but mighty. Okay, and then do your last movement there. So your last pendiculation of the low front, and then pause. So you've just pendiculated the low front and the low back to create space in the muscles of the low back and low front. The low back, the vertebrae is going to expand a little bit. There's going to be more space for the vertebrae to expand, more space for the L5, 4, 3, 2, 1, S1. All these muscles in the low back, lower lumbar, there's more space now, even if it's just a little bit. There's less pinching because the muscles are less tight and the muscles move the bones. Okay, so good. Now, another part of this the lower fundamental move, the lower back is the low sides. So these three movements I call the foundation of the low back, right? The low back, the low front, and the low sides. So in order to access the low sides, you're going to you imagine the submarine wheel. It's flat wheel. So your hips are a flat wheel. So you're not lifting the hips. You're going to just rotate that left hip towards the left shoulder. And there's muscles that are going to have to tighten and contract in order to make that happen. That's the quadratus lumborum mostly in the side of the hip. You can feel it if you press your hand in there. And then you're just going to relax the hip and let those muscles relax. Again, small movement. But if they're super stiff and unusable, it's going to cause all kinds of problems. So we want to make sure these muscle groups, however small, are active and also relaxed. And we're going to achieve that by pendiculating first. We can always stretch, but first we pendiculate like the wild animals, like the tigers out there. Wild mammals. Okay, so forgive me. So you're doing the left side and then you're doing the right side. And again, you're not lifting up towards the ceiling. You're just sliding, you're rotating those hips just about 1, 2, 3 inches. And then relax. Now, if other muscle groups are used to compensating for these muscle groups, you might feel the back of the hips fire up. They shouldn't be firing up right now, right? So you might have compensation patterns, or I don't know, the neck, other muscle groups can start to fire. But we're training muscles to do their jobs by activating them, making sure everything's functional penticulations. So we'll just do a couple of, let's say a few each side. Again, classes for training, so you might do 5 repetitions each side. But take your time and feel. And then we'll just do one more each side, okay? Nice and slow. Do you take a breath cycle after each side? Maybe you do. I guess you do, because even though it's left side, you did a pendiculation. So inhale, exhale, relax that left side. And then the right side, same thing. You pendiculate it, contract, feel, and then feel your ability to relax the muscles, and then take a breath cycle. That's probably the best way to do it. Okay, and then again, it's more efficient because you could do one of those movements, inhaling, exhaling in a day and get benefit. Okay, good. Regularity becomes key because we have to unwind layers. For most of us, we have to unwind years and years of compounded muscular tension and stress. Okay, so we want to peel the layers back with regularity. Okay, good. Now, so pause there and allow the breath to happen. So you've pendiculated the first 3 movements and through functional pendiculations in the front, low, back sides. There should be more space in the low back. You might feel that, or even in the lower body. Okay. Now, where we're going to go next is a combination of, I find that when we do this diagonal movement, the low back diagonal movement, we access a different part of the muscle group in the lower quadrants of the low back. So I'll show you. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to, for number 4, you're going to contract the low back by pressing the back, the sacrum, like you did in number 1. Just slowly tighten the low back. And as you do that slowly, forgive me, but as you do that slowly, I want you to slowly slide that left hip towards the left shoulder and press the lower left edge of your tailbone gently into the ground. You're like, okay, and that's going to contract the lower left quadrant of the low back. So you're going to access some different feelings there and feel that contraction happen on that lower left quadrant. And then, of course, slowly relax it. And I know I'm speaking faster than you are going, than you're moving, but just bear with me. So then you relax the hip to neutral and you relax the back down. So when you go to that right side, you want to try to do everything at once. So you're as you arc the low back, you're sliding that right hip towards the right shoulder and simultaneously pressing that lower right angle of the sacrum. The sacrum is kind of like a triangle. So you're pressing that lower right uh, angle, a line of the triangle into the ground to help activate those feelings of tensing in that area. And then as you feel the muscles tightening, stay aware of your ability to then relax the muscles that you're tightening. The more and more we do this, the more we can actually feel the nuances of what's tensing, and then your ability to relax the muscles. And as always, a breath cycle in between each movement. We'll do three total on each side, let's say, unless you've surpassed that. But let's say 3 to 5 right here. So go slow. And if there's any choppiness, just slow it down and smooth it out. Okay, so you're exploring here. It basically comes down to how much of the body can we contract and relax? How much of the body can we feel contracting and relaxing? So these 13 movements are between the neck and shoulder movements are the most fundamental patterns. Um, the major players for the functional patterns. Okay. Okay, good. Good. So then let's pause after that last one and just be in your neutral position there. Neutral position is knees up, feet on the ground, armpits at about 45 degrees, and head relaxed, jaw relaxed. Okay, that's neutral. So you're in neutral here. You've done 4 movements for the low back and the low front and low sides and low back diagonal. Good job. Okay, so now what I want you to do is we'll move into the full frontal crunch. So bring the hands behind the head, and so your elbows are just relaxed at each side. And if you're really tight in the front, maybe the elbows don't go all the way down. That's okay. Just let them be where they are. Now, if you want, as an exploration, let's just briefly, as a sensory awareness training, just slowly bring your elbows up towards the neutral and then even a little bit towards each other so you feel some tensing on the lateral aspects of the pectoralis muscles, so in the chest. You're going to feel some muscles responsible for this movement. So I want you to see if you can feel that just briefly, just a few times. So you're going to butterfly the elbows up and then bring them a little towards each other to engage the muscles. When you can feel some tightening, and just go ahead and stay with the feeling and just relax the elbows down and notice how you're in control of how fast you relax those elbows down by relaxing the muscles. The muscles are moving the bones this way and then that way. So just capture what you can feel and then release. Okay. Yes, that's a pandiculation, a contraction and a relaxation. But the muscles don't work alone. They work together. So, um, so, so let's go ahead and we'll do the full frontal crunch. So in this movement, we're going to contract the major muscles of the front of the body from the lower abdomen all the way to the muscles underneath the front of the chin. So all of that's going to be contracting and relaxing. So I'll tell you what we're going to do and then we'll do it. I just for efficiency, I like to do first a little low back contraction and then a relaxed sit, kind of getting to the rhythm here. A little low back contraction like we do in number 1. Okay, this is the first movement, first part of this. And then you relax it and then flow right into the pressing of the low back into the ground, tightening the stomach muscles. And as you do that, that's number 1 and number 2 together. As you do that, you bring the elbows up and then bring the head and the shoulders and the arms up just a few inches and sink into a kind of an abdominal crunch, right? So you're capturing the feeling of the muscles tightening from all the way in the lower belly, all the way sinking into the middle of the trunk. So sink into it, really get as much feeling as you can, but slow, and then slowly relax out. That's the positioning. And then the more we do it, the more we can feel. So you contract and then come on down. The low front relaxes back to neutral. The shoulders come back down. The head drops down back on the ground. And the elbows fall back to the back where they were in that position, to the left and to the right. And what's key here is to go slow and smooth. So no dropping the elbows down because the benefit comes from motor control. We're getting pain relief by developing sensory awareness of motor control into the subtleties of our biomechanics, the contraction and relaxation. Okay, so let's do it again. Now, if you're not using the abdominals so much because you're not climbing trees for coconuts every day, you're not doing abdominal crunches, it might feel a little choppy. It's like, oh, you're waking something up. So it's like, oh, a little frozen. So you're activating the muscles in order to release them. So again, if you're constantly forward folded at the computer at work, those muscles in the front are going to be pulling everything forward, and then the low back is going to tighten to keep the body upright. So we do this pattern to make sure the pattern is in the front are the muscles are neutral. We don't want them habitually rolled forward, right? So you go after them, contract them, feel them, and then slowly release them down and take a breath cycle in between each movement. So this is a little bit bigger of a movement, so take your time with it, okay? Go slow and just do, I don't know how many you've done, but just do a couple more. That's a lot of talking. Consider it kind of training, and then you kind of follow as best you can and just do as much as you can in terms of movement as you follow along and listen. Okay. Um, Good. And then ideally too, even though these movements are tedious and repetitive, and wild mammals will do it every day up to 40 times a day. And so my thought is let's find the extraordinary in the ordinary. So if we can make it really valuable to just repeat these movements, make it meditational, make it relaxing, make it luxurious, kind of a celebration of being in the body. I think that's going to be a good mindset to kind of conquer oh God, I got to do these movements like brushing teeth. So that seems important, that mindset. Okay. So good. Let's do one more, and your pace is slow and smooth and gentle. Eyes are closed. You have a somatic view, which means internal first person view of how you're feeling. Internal view of the workings of the body. Good. Okay. And then when you're done with that, bring your arm, move into neutral position, which is your knees don't move, your feet don't move, but your arms are at 45 degrees. So just back in neutral position. And allow a few breath cycles. Just take notice. We don't have to rush right now. So just notice how you feel. Notice where notice where the breath is filling. So compared to when you started and now, we've made space. Most likely, there's been some space created in the front of the body, which means there's more space. When the ribs expand, they're not pressing up against enclosure of tight muscles around the thoracic cage. There's more freedom in the muscles, there's more space, so the rib cage can expand more naturally with less effort, which means the lungs can fill more. So we've just increased oxygen and circulation just by doing that full frontal crunch, which is cool. Okay. So just take notice. You might even feel a little bit longer. That can happen instead of muscles pulling us down and shortening us, which happens over time. And we think it's just because of aging, but actually it's because of a lack of managing the muscular system most often, pulling us down, which isn't our fault because we never learned how to manage the muscular system, but we're learning now. So yay. Okay. Good. So now what I'd like to do in light of the rib cage and the breathing capacity, I want to go after the sides of the body. Um, so get in this position, rotate onto your left side of your body. So your head is lying on your arm outstretched. So if your arm is in line with the length of your left side of your trunk, outstretched, your left ear is just lying on your arm there. And forgive me, but something if you're uncomfortable in the neck and shoulders, which can happen, having a blanket around to just comfortably do the positions, like props for yoga, could be helpful too. So if you need to put a little cushion or a little blanket during training here, feel free. It can always, nothing, it doesn't hurt. And since we're not in a rush, hey, throw a blanket under your ear, between your ear and your arm. Um, so the point of this position, oh, let's bring the knees up. So you're bringing the knees up uh, so that your hips are at a 90 degrees. So if I was taking a photo above you, I would see your right ear, the right trunk, your right shoulder, and then your hips are at 90 degrees. So usually we have to bring the knees up a little bit more because we think we're at 90, but we're not. About 90, and then to get a good feeling in this movement that we'll show you. And then at your knees, the back of the knee should also be 90 degrees. We just set it up so that you can feel the muscle groups that we want to access in this next movement. So that's the setup. Okay, so let me just say this too. In the side of that trunk, so the right side of your trunk is facing the ceiling, you have the muscles along in the between the ribs. You have the latissimus dorsi, which are right underneath the shoulder blade, between the shoulder and the down towards the lower ribs in the side. But we also have muscles. Let's see, how do I say it? You also have muscles in the back of the side. I want to think of the side of the body as not just the side of the body, but the front of the sides as well, and the back of the sides, because we're multidimensional. We've got front of the side, down the middle of the side, and down the back of the side. So in order to optimize this pattern, in light of how much can we feel tightening and releasing to create space in our muscular system to release soreness, tension, and pain, we're going to access these planes of the sides very simply. But I want to present it to you if you haven't seen it. So the first thing we're going to do, and again, the purpose is to feel the muscles tightening in the side and then lengthening. So first thing you'll do is, well, let's start with the lower part of the side. So this is another way to access the QL, the side of the hip. So if you keep your knees together and bring your right foot up about 6 inches, that right hip will just rotate towards the midline of the side of the trunk, towards the side, the lower side. There's muscles responsible. Those muscles are gonna contract to participate in that movement. You can put your hand there just above the hip crest in those muscles. As you lift the foot up, you'll feel those muscles tightening to make that happen. And then bring the foot down, and then those muscles will relax and the hip will come back to neutral. So I want you to just feel your ability to do that. In regular practice in one day, there's different ways to access these muscle groups, but this is one way to access it, and it's a nice way to get the full side in one. Okay, so do that one more time. Just get the feeling of as that foot comes up and the hip rotates in, you'll feel the sides of those muscles in the right side contracting a little bit. I want you to feel that, and then slowly relax it down. So you're consciously relaxing, you're bringing your foot down, but how much of that is because you're relaxing the muscles first? It's interesting. They go together. How about they just go together? Okay, so there's the lower part of the side of the trunk. Now let's get the upper half into the lower third of the trunk. So you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna, let's say, I don't know if it matters on inhale or exhale. We definitely want to take a breath cycle after each movement, but should you inhale when you go up and down? I don't know. You can play with it. Typically, if you inhale, you expand the rib cage. So what I'll do is I'll inhale, expand the rib cage, and then on the exhale, I'll bring my elbow and head up. So you're going to engage the neck muscles, but I want you to bring your elbow right down the midline towards your hip, towards the side of the hip. And as you do that, muscles in the side of the body, the lats, are going to, namely the lats, are going to contract. I want you to feel those muscles tighten like an accordion. And then I want you to just slowly lengthen back out into that beginning position you were in, lying on your left side. So then relax the head completely. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to combine that movement, the lifting of the elbow and head and shoulder, feeling the muscles of the side tightening. This is the purpose of this movement, to feel those muscles in the side of the trunk contracting while simultaneously lifting the foot. So you're getting a full side contraction. Okay. And then I want you to bring the foot down and then slowly lengthen back out. And you can relax, and you might even reach and just stretch a little bit after you relax down, just to kind of stretch. You've pendiculated, but then you can also stretch. Animals in the wild will pendiculate first, and then they'll stretch and reach. But we haven't, we're just taught to stretch mostly. So we can begin to start thinking about, okay, contracting, relaxing, creating space deep in the underbelly, bypassing the stretch reflex, and then you can reach into that should feel good. And you can also create some space and maybe get some adjustments in the spine that way too. Going gently, 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 gently. Okay. So do that. I don't know how many you've done, but let's say you're doing three down the middle of the middle of the side here. Okay, so you're contracting and then relaxing, laying out, and then taking a breath. Inhale, exhale. And when you exhale everything out, it's like the body just goes, okay, I got that. I got that. I did that. I'm feeling that I'm doing you're applying the biomechanic when you contract, relax, and then take a breath. If you do like 100 of those, you're really using the biomechanic, you're doing something else. Because the idea is to create space and length and relaxation in the tissue while first activating it and making sure it's operational. Okay. Um, okay, so great. So let's say you've done three. You've probably done more, but if you're going slow, let's say you've done three. You've been focusing on feeling those muscles tighten and relax. It's obviously an incredibly simple movement, right? Um, so so relax in that basic position there with your arm outstretched. We'll call it just starting position in this side movement with your knees bent. Just you're in this position. Now I want to go after the front of the sides. So typically especially if we have computer jobs, we're rolled, the head is rolled forward. So when we're, and the shoulders are rolled forward. So when you're lying in that position on the sides, you typically, the head's forward a little bit. And if I took a picture of you, you kind of look like you're uh, huddling in a little bit. Well, unbeknownst to ourselves. It's just kind of our habit pattern, most of us that I've seen anyway. So take stock of that possibility. And as you, it's possible that when you bring the head and shoulders up, you might actually have to lean back a little bit in order to get a true side contraction because we're oriented or we're used to being in the front. So when you did that first movement, you might have contracted the front of the side. Maybe you did it right down the middle. Maybe you accessed a little more of the front of the side and the side. Does that make sense? So kind of just beneath the chest. So that part of and it's really the rib cage and then the medial side of excuse me, the front side of the lat. You get the back side of the lat and the front side of the lat, and then the middle of the lat. Okay, so I want to, if you think that you did a true down the middle, then let's go ahead and this time you're going to do just two, but I want you to, when you contract, when you bring the shoulders and head up, I want you to lean forward a little bit and down. And I want you to, and it might be that you feel a different muscle group, a different feeling. Maybe it's the same one if you were habitually there, because I'm not seeing you. Maybe, maybe it's the same feeling, and then you have to bring it back to get the side. But I want you to go after the side and then now the front of the side. Okay? So you just contract and relax. So we're searching for more feeling, more muscles to open by contracting and relaxing them. So do a couple there, and then I'll stop talking about that. And then when you're done with that second one and you've taken a breath cycle in between, because you're reaping the rewards of each movement now, and you're focused on relaxing the body with that integrative breath cycle in and out. Then I want you to slowly bring your head back. So if your head and hips were stacked perfectly in a line with that little low back curve, that'd be perfect side. Now, if you bring your head back a little bit and your shoulders back, just lean them back a little bit, and then we're going to do that side again. We want to feel the back of the side contracting. So you're going to go after the side, but slightly to the back of the side. Now you're getting into the back of the traps. You're going to feel the sides, but also the traps. And then the ribs, the muscles in between the rib cage, also on that back side. So this is the three dimensions of the right side. Okay, that we want to pendiculate. And that's going to create more space in that right side for the lungs to fill. And also when this shoulder trunk shoulder side complex is hypertense, guess what else is stuck? That right hip and that right low back, because obviously it's connected. So do a couple in that back of the side, and you're exploring here. I'm giving directions, but you want to feel, just go ahead and feel what you can. Lengthen out, maybe stretch just a tad, and then relax. So I'm teaching you functional pendiculation, so I really want to focus on you learning that. But then eventually, we to be whole, I think we do want to reach and stretch too. But first, we don't want to bypass the first movement that nature does in the wild, which is the pendiculation, to keep the muscles active and supple. Okay, good. Well done. So now come onto your back. I know I'm talking a lot. I hope you find it valuable. Come on your back and arms out. So go to corpse pose. First position, corpse pose. You're on your back and arms are by your side and just breathe. You don't have to breathe. The body is breathing. Observe the breath. Just watch it come in and out. It's coming in and out whether you know it or whether you are conscious of it or not, which is amazing. Now I want you to feel what it feels like between your right shoulder and your right hip compared to your left shoulder and your left hip. Now, you pendiculated. Maybe you stretched a little bit, but you weren't really focusing on stretching. You're focusing on pendiculating. Does it feel like that right side has more space than the left side? Often it's dramatic. The left side might feel a lot more short, and the right side should feel quite a bit longer. If you're feeling that length and space, what does this mean? Again, the ribs there's less tension around the rib cage. The lungs can naturally fill with more ease. That's a good thing, and that'll feel good. It's also, since you're feeling longer in the muscular system, what else got a chance to expand? Sometimes the spine will just pop open. If it's been stuck for a while, and you do the muscles, you do these pendiculations, the spine will just kind of boop, pop open a little bit. I see it a lot when I do massage too. You relax the muscles and then boop, boop, the spine will open a little bit. So now the spine has lengthened because you have pendiculated and lengthened that side of the body. So enjoy that because that's spinal health. You just increase your spinal health just by focusing on pendiculating the sides of the right side of the body, then with the three planes. And also, of course, the spine is moving when you move this to the right. When you pendiculate the sides, the spine's also curving a little bit. The muscles are moving the spine. Okay, great. So I just like you to pause and take note of the difference because most of us can see, oh wow, that really did something. It just created a lot of length and space in that whole right side, which will directly affect the low back. In fact, you might feel if the tension pattern is stronger in the shoulders for whatever reason than the low back, this might be a better movement than the three movements of the low back to release the low back tension. So we want to go after dominant tension patterns because those are going to be, where the most of the holding is from whatever we've done or whatever we've been into or worked on from work or stress or injuries or traumas. Okay, good. Well done. So there you are. Now let's do the other side. Okay, so gently move into exposing the left side of the trunk towards the ceiling. So your right ear is resting on your right arm. Your arm's kind of in front of you, just relaxed. It doesn't really matter. You could put your arm wherever you want, wherever it's going to be relaxed underneath your ear. But we want your right side. Okay, here it is. You want to feel your right side on the ground. So you have to get your arm out of the way if you can. In some cases, that might be hard because you have a shoulder problem. If you're having pain problems and it's hard to do the movements, body work is a great way to just kind of open that stuff up so you can get into these positions. That's something else I offer is body work. Having someone just get into the muscles, bones, and just open stuff up. Okay, that's what I do during the week as well. So Okay, so now we've exposed our left side. Hello, left side. Let's go ahead and same position. At the hips, you have 90. At the knees, you have 90. And I should have started with this. Let's take note of where your head is. Is your head kind of just um, rotated forward a little bit? Is your head and neck forward? Or if I was above you taking a photo, is your head and neck and shoulder, excuse me, is your head and your spine straight? Or do you have that propensity to roll your head forward there? So if you want, just kind of bring your head back a little bit. If you have that sense that it's forward folded to get a true middle of the side contraction. And then we'll bring the head forward to get the front side of the side. Okay. So let's do a few here. Let's just go right into it. So we'll on the exhale, inhale, expand the rib cage, and on the exhale, slowly bring the foot up, keep the knees together, so that lower part of the side contracts, the QL, while simultaneously lifting the shoulder, head, and neck up. You're going to feel your neck muscles tighten a little bit, but I want you to focus on contracting the sides. That's the dominant thing we want to open. The neck's going to also contract and relax, but we want to make sure that's happening. And then, of course, your breath cycle when you come back down. Maybe you've dropped it, and then slowly you can just do like an incremental reach when you relax back down to kind of just reach your arm back a little bit. That can feel nice. Why not feel nice? You can reach and stretch as well. Um, we don't want to tear anything. No tearing, please. Now do that two more times. So we're going to do three times down the middle. Contract, go after feeling as much as you can without strain. So you're easefully contracting, feeling, and then relaxing the muscle groups. Okay. Um, and then you're taking your breath integration between each movement, right? Once you start to get the rhythm of how to do this effectively, I don't have to talk as much. But this is good training, especially if you're new to this. Okay, so again, if you're in pinch for time, but you want to get your movements in, do one movement of each plane, just one, or just do the sides and scratch the back and front. When you're done with those three down the middle, go to the front of the side. Now you can bring the foot up. I typically just focus on the foot three times and then relax the foot and just do. And then when I bring my head forward a little bit and then come up into the contracting of the front of the sides to get that dimension, the frontal dimension of the side, and then back down. Just relax the foot. I just relax the foot. No rules really with this, but I just feel like I don't need to keep pendiculating the. We've already done it so much with the low side move of number three, and then what we've done here. So I rest the foot after three, go two times to the front of the side, lengthen out. I mean, it should feel good because you're really going into the contraction to create space for the ribs. It should feel quite therapeutic, especially if it's locked up in there. If you haven't done this for 4 decades or 5 decades, oh boy, keep going, keep doing this regularly. Your body will change. And then when you're done with that, go to the back. So this time, just slide your shoulders and head just off the midline towards the back, right? So if I was, your just head is back a little bit. So when you do the contraction, the side contraction, you're feeling the sides, but the back of the side as well. You want to feel the back of the side engage. It's not very complex, but it takes some getting used to at first. Um, okay, so the same principle, contract, then relax down, and then take a breath cycle in and out. Ah, good. More breath to fill the lungs. Um, you're also creating peace in your body by doing this. I always like to mention that because when there's less stress, there's less irritability. There's more calm, there's more space mentally, emotionally too. Body, mind, emotion, connection. So we say with three down the middle, three down the side of the middle. Oh, excuse me, two down the side of the middle. You could do three. I just say two, and then two down the back of the middle. So good. So you pendiculated those planes of the side of the rib cage. Powerful stuff. So then when you're done with that, uh, equal amount as you did on the left, ideally. Go and lie on your back. And and so you've basically balanced yourself out because you did the right side and now you've done the left side. So it's corpse position now. Move into corpse and take note. Oh, now it's more even. Now the left side's more open and long, kind of like more like the right than it was when I before. So see the difference. When I first did this, I thought, wow, it's really not, it really was congested on that left side. Now it's much more open. And again, the biomechanic here is you go into the tension in order to release the tension, like lifting the parking brake up in order to release it with those old handheld parking brakes. Um, Good. So allow a few breath cycles to happen. Again, now that left side of the spine has opened a bit as the left side of the muscular system has been opened and pendiculated. So there's more space on the ribs. There's more space for the ribs to expand when the inhale comes. Without you doing anything, it's just going to fill more of the lungs naturally. In fact, the breath might welcome it. The body might say, oh, now I can really take that extra, I can really get some more breath. And that's relieving for the body, have more capacity to fill the lungs. The body likes that. I can say safely, the body likes that. Everybody. Um, Good. So that's good. So I'll just recap what you've done. You've done the low back, you've pendiculated the low back, the low front, the low side, the low back diagonal, the right side, QL, and then three planes of the sides of the basically the muscles along the side of the ribs on the right side and also the left side. So good. Well done. If you do one repetition of each one of these movements, just these five with both sides of the hips and the sides of the body, you can whip that out in 5 minutes and you're going to make it, 10 minutes or even less, maybe less time. Do that a few times a day. Animals will pendiculate up to 40 times a day. So we want to start implementing these movements into our daily life. That's what we want to be doing, ideally, as nature would have it, as nature would have it. Very good. So what to do next? We have a little bit more time. So during these classes, I'll go in depth and kind of explore movements. So we might not get to all 13 in one movement in one class. Usually we kind of just exploring deeply of, a number of movements. So just something to note for class time is more like a deeper exploration into these movements. But for now, let's go ahead and um, I want to take you into the seated twist. Well, since you're lying on your back, maybe we'll just stick with the hips. So, so let's make this nice. Okay, so go ahead and bring your feet about mat width. So if you're on a yoga mat, just bring the feet a little wider, and that's going to create space for the knees to move towards each other. If you're new to this and you haven't seen the seated twist, or the triple twist, or the neck, shoulder, hip movement, eyes, neck, shoulder movement. Explore that because it's really helpful at releasing the neck and shoulders. It's a little different than a pendiculation. It's actually I call it an unfreeze because you're unfreezing the muscles and the movements of the body from being one plane into multi-plane the way it's designed, and that unfreezes the muscles. It unwinds things, it relaxes things. Kind of like a pendiculation because you're unfreezing that aspect, the unfreezing of the muscles. It's just a way to do that. It's a little different. It's a Feldenkrais movement, but it's not quite a pendiculation, but it is an unfreezing. Okay, so anyway, I'll do that now. I'm gonna do a deep dive next week on the triple twist. Okay, but for now, let's stay with the hips. So again, your feet are hip width. Thank you for bearing with me. Your feet are hip width, and I want you to just drop your right knee down towards that left foot. Okay, slowly. So you're just dropping that right knee down towards the left foot. Welcome to the hip. Maybe it's crunchy, maybe it's tight. Um, and then bring that knee back to neutral. Okay, so if your hips are really congested and tight with the lymphatic system or the muscles, you'll feel it. It'll feel like tight. Um, the lymph moves is right in that linguinal groove and the hip crest. Oh, excuse me. The hip flexors, the lymphatic system, when it gets really congested, it'll cause compression in the hip, in the front of the hip. And we don't think about that with hip tension, but that can be a player. So doing cleansing, like fruit cleansing, will help the lymphatic decrease in inflammation and then also participate in hips feeling better. I wanted to note that. But for this movement, again, so your right knee goes down towards the left, and then your right knee comes back up to neutral, and then your left knee drops down to the right. So, and then back up. So swing back and forth. The right knee goes down to the foot and then back up. And then the left knee goes down towards the opposite foot and then back up. So you're swinging back and forth, nice and slow, nice and smooth. And don't drop the knees, really make it smooth. So you're controlling the movement and you're in neutral position, of course. So your arms are at, about 45 degrees at the armpits. And as you go slow with eyes closed, you might be able to feel that there's muscles that have to lengthen and relax in order for the knee to drop towards the opposite foot. They have to mechanically. So the lateral aspect of the muscles and the legs and hips are going to relax a little bit in order for that knee to drop down. And then something has to tighten in order for that knee to come back up to neutral. See if you can feel that. It's a little bit more of a subtle movement, but well, I can't always feel this. So see if you can focus on the movement and see if you can feel a little something and pay attention to where that something is contracting and where that something is relaxing from the length of the hip crest down through the glutes, down through the side of the leg, along the TFL, down to the knee. All that is contracting and lengthening. So just see if you can feel it. Okay. It's a nice way to just warm up the hips too. Typically, I'll do like five knee drops, five, three, or one knee drop, depending on how much time you have to play with it. And after you do, let's say you've done five knee drops, both sides, nice and slow. Somewhere in there, you're breathing, the body's breathing. Um, okay, so the next movement, so let's say relax the knees where they are in neutral position with the feet a little wide. So relax there for a moment. And what I'd like you to do is um, actually bring your feet a little bit closer. Not quite hip width, like in neutral position, but not quite as wide as you were, just a little kind of in between the two. Now, what I'd like you to do, and this you may need to adjust yourself to feel comfortable here, but what I'd like you to do is I want you to drop your left knee down towards the right knee. And then I want your right knee to drop down towards the floor slowly. Okay. And then as you do that, so you're putting yourself into a little bit of rotation in the low back. So the spine rotates a little bit and go, if there's pinching in there, if there's any pain ever, stop and come back. So we don't want to go into pain, but take it as far as it'll go. And then I want you to, that left side of the foot is starting to come up off the ground. Excuse me. The left side of the foot is when that left knee drops down and the right knee drop down, I want you to rotate the outside of the left foot towards the outside of the left knee, just about half an inch. Just rotate that left side of the foot. You're everting the foot. Evert the foot while simultaneously invert the right foot. So you're going to rotate that right arch of the foot towards the inside of the knee. So you're just doing a slight inversion and eversion in one foul swoop. And then I want you to slowly rotate the hips back to neutral, relax the feet, let the knees come up. And then pause and take a breath. And what you've done there is you've done an inversion and an eversion of each side of the legs, or excuse me, doing an E version of the left side and a right, the outside of the left leg, you've contracted and relaxed, and then that you've contracted and relaxed the inside of the right leg by moving those, doing that movement with the inversion, the E version. And that'll send a contraction all the way up to the inside of the hip and outside of the hip. And then as you relax the feet back and bring the knees up, it'll relax those muscles. It's an interesting movement because you're going after pandiculating the muscles of the inside of the legs. Well, how the heck do we access the inside of the legs and the outside of the legs? Well, this is one way to do it. There's multiple ways, but when you're by yourself, this is one way to get that engagement. Okay, so good. So now you're going to swing to the left side, nice and slow. Okay. And as your knees fall, so the left knee falls down towards the left leg, so it was open. So you're butterflying that left side, left leg open, and then the right knee comes down towards that left leg. Go ahead and slowly. Now they don't have to touch. They're just you could just go 6 inches both legs to the left, and then as they roll down that way, I like to take them as far as they can go naturally and then rotate the feet. So evert that right foot. So you're just rotating the outside of the foot towards the outside of the knee. And that there's muscles that are tighten on the outside of that lower right leg. In order for that to happen, the muscles move the bones, and it'll also make the upper lateral leg muscles engage as well, all the way towards the outside of the hip. And then the same with the inside of the arch on the left side, you're rotating that inside of the foot towards the knee. That medial side of the lower leg contracts, and you'll feel it all the way up into the hip. And then once you feel that, slowly relax the muscles. Let the knees come back up. So you're going to doing two in one here. You're inverting and everting at the same time. A little different. So go do that 2 times each side. So go to the right, nice and slow. Now, when you're doing it in regular practice, you're just you just engage the muscles a little bit and then keep moving. You're not like staying there and spending 5 seconds contracting, contracting, contracting. You're just contracting a little bit and then relaxing and moving on, right? So it's kind of like the principle in Tai Chi. You're kind of moving, you're not stopping, but you're contracting and relaxing with that Tai Chi kind of keep things moving. You're not, we're not doing anything too passive here. You're continuing to, this is active. This is active movement. So keep it active. Contract, relax, move on. And that's for efficiency too. You could just do one, if you're doing contract, relax, move on, and breathe, this is efficiency. You're not like, how long can I hold this tension? Ah! But you also do want to feel the muscle. You want to get just enough to feel the tightening in order to release the tightening and then move on. Okay. Okay, good. So you're inverting and everting both sides as you kind of as you rotate the hips. Now, I'll say this too, as you do that, maybe just do one or two more, but as you do that, notice that the hips are rotating to the left and to the right as the knees fall to each side. And the lower lumbar vertebrae is also, you're getting some rotation there in the spine as well. There's muscles in between the vertebrae that are also contracting and relaxing. So the spinal rotation is good for the health of the spine. It'll help the spine breathe, unless you're incredibly subluxated, in which case this will be very painful to do, and you might need to get an adjustment from a chiropractor, a good gentle chiropractor who can open something up. Typically, it's just the muscles that are moving the bones, and you can fix a subluxation. But in the case of a severe blunt trauma, or like a repetitive injury of some kind, you might need a little extra help from a practitioner. But once that gets cleared up, then we can just stay focused on the muscular system. Okay, good. So pause there after that last movement. Make sure you're balanced out, and then go ahead and lie on your back, corpse pose. Very well done. Very well done. So you've created length and space in the inside and outside of the hips. These are movements to help you connect with big players in the body, the big functional movers. big functional patterns. So you're in corpse pose and just briefly check in with your breath. Where is your breath filling the body? Observe for a moment. We're at time, but I just want you to spend a moment observing that. Where is the breath filling? Is it different than how it was at first? When you first started, notice the back of the head. Which part of the back of the head did it change? Which part of the back of the head makes contact with the ground now? Did it change? We changed the muscles, so maybe it changed the positioning of the bones. Same with the shoulders. Different? Same? Probably different. We changed the muscles. And then down through the back, does the back feel longer, more space? Same with the hips. Is it same? Is it different? Down to through the legs to the feet, and then the wrists and the arms as well. And then just take a general notice of how you're feeling. Well-being, you have more energy circulating. There's less energy stuck in the tissue. Now you have more energy flowing through your system, which can make feelings, it can make the body emotions feel good and of happiness. Or maybe you just feel peace, or maybe you're connecting to some pain because its body's really sore and there's some pain still, and you're just feeling that. It's okay too. If your pain is caused by stiff muscles, these movements are probably the best, most efficient way to do it. Good training session. Very well done. I'm going to pause here and celebrate you for doing the training, okay? And then focus on regularity and going finding the extraordinary and the ordinary with these biomechanical repetitive movements, which we can think are tedious, and they are tedious, but like brushing teeth, we want to think of, treating our muscular system so we stay thriving and healthy. Okay. All right. Well done. I'm going to stop the recording.